Hello, and welcome to Moments in History. I'm Linda Shenton Matchett, author, speaker, and history geek. While researching my stories, I unearthed tons of intriguing historical information that doesn't end up in my books, so I've created this channel to share those tidbits with you. I appreciate you stopping by. Today, I'm going to be talking about mining in the United States. When most people think about mining, gold, silver, copper, and precious gems often come to mind first. However, the mining of coal, metals, and industrial minerals outpaces those resources by nearly 5 times. The history of coal mining goes back thousands of years, with mines documented in ancient China, the Roman Empire, and other early countries. But the industry saw an upsurge in Europe and America during the 19th and 20th centuries in the Industrial Revolution, when coal was used to power steam engines, heat buildings, and generate electricity. There are 4 main types of coal. Anthracite, also called hard coal, is the highest rank, known for its hard, black appearance and high carbon content, making it a clean burning fuel. Bituminous, or soft coal, the middle rank coal, which is used for power generation and some industrial processes. Subbituminous, a lower rank coal than bituminous, with lower carbon content and used for electricity generation. And lignite, the lowest rank, which has the lowest energy content and is also used for electricity generation. The difference between the various types of coals is the geological age. Anthracite is older and subjected to a greater degree of pressure in formation. Anthracite coal replaced wood fuel around 1850. Bituminous was in high demand for railway locomotives and stationary steam engines beginning around the same time. It was also used to make coke, the product derived from low sulfur bituminous coal by a process called coking. Coke is used mainly in iron ore smelting or as fuel in stoves and forges. Bituminous coal fields are the most extensive, and they run westward from Pennsylvania to Indiana and south from Maryland to Alabama. Anthracite deposits are only found in eastern Pennsylvania, in and around the Susquehanna and Schuylkill rivers. The coal industry grew by leaps and bounds, and some of the industrialists, or robber barons, who made their fortunes as a result include George and Selden Scranton, who would later found the city of Scranton, Pennsylvania, and their cousins Joseph and Erastus Scranton, David Thomas of Lehigh Crane Iron Company, and William Jackson Palmer of Colorado Fuel and Iron. Owners of associated industries such as the railroads also became wealthy as a result. Initially, coal was easily mined near the surface with axes, picks, augers, and shovels. But as demand increased, miners had to go deeper underground. Providing sufficient breathable air was one of the most daunting issues to address. One early method involved sinking a ventilation shaft at a different height from the mine's opening. The idea was to create a partial vacuum by allowing warmer air to rise and escape out of the mine, causing a column of fresh air to rush in from the surface. Based on that same theory, another system used a furnace connected to a ventilation shaft to promote airflow. Still another produced the same effect with a cascade of cold water flowing down the central shaft. While each method worked to some degree, they were not adequate to meet the needs of the deeper mines. Moreover, use of a ventilation furnace in a deep mine could prove hazardous. Tragically, an example of this is the Avondale disaster in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, that occurred in 1869 when more than 100 men were asphyxiated in a mine 300 feet deep when the ventilation furnace burned the main shaft. Eventually, engineers discovered that fans were much more effective when they drew stale air out of the mine, thereby promoting an upward flow of air in. New techniques were introduced to extract coal, including the use of explosives to break loose the coal. Workers would dig under the coal seam to create an overhang and then manually pound 6 to 8 inch holes into the rock, with one miner holding a steel chisel while the other used a sledgehammer, after which they filled them with black powder, a low-power explosive. The explosion would then bring down the coal shelf. This was a slow and tedious process, with a team able to drill, load, and fire 8 to 10 holes over the course of a 10-hour shift. The invention of dynamite in 1866 by Swedish chemist Alfred Bernard Nobel revolutionized the mining industry. Dynamite, an explosive 5 times more powerful than black powder, quickly replaced it in mines by the mid-1870s. Needless to say, mining was rife with danger. Oil lamps were used to light the darkness, but open flames created a fire hazard. Tunnels were known to collapse, as well as explosions from methane gas or coal dust. Gas poisoning, suffocation, and accidents were a constant threat. Long-term exposure to poor air in the mines caused chronic lung diseases such as black lung, and the lack of lighting caused an eye affliction called nystagmus. The industrialists exploited their workers, typically paying them for the amount and quality of coal they produced and fining them for producing too much slack or small pieces of coal. Conditions were harsh, with employees working 6 days a week for 10 hours a day. The benefits were few. Mining towns emerged, and by all reports were characterized by poverty. Miners were often paid in scrip, a form of company currency redeemable only at company stores, which ensured that the majority of the wages were returned directly to the company. Efforts were made to introduce machinery to increase productivity. One device, originally demonstrated in 1850, was a compressed air jackhammer to replace the pick for undercutting the coal face. This device began to come into greater use around 1875. In 1868, a commercially successful revolving wheel cutter for undercutting the coal seam was introduced in England, later powered by compressed air and then electricity. The long wall cutter, introduced in 1891, could cut continuously along the long face of coal. In the late 1800s, the mining industry in Cornwall, England declined, and Cornish miners migrated to America, Australia, and South America. Known as Cousin Jacks, they brought vast experience with them to the delight of the industrialists. Unfortunately for the workers, life was little better for them in their new countries. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to learn even more history, please stop by my blog found at www.lindashentonmatchett.com. And please consider subscribing to my YouTube and Spotify channels, both called Moments in History, to see and hear new episodes that generally release on the second and fourth Friday of each month. Click the bell icon in YouTube to be notified of new episodes. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.